Well, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Monique Bradley, tōku ingoa. I'm Monique Bradley. Welcome to today's live stream here in association with Diabetes New Zealand. Thank you so much for tuning in for this second Facebook Live session, which is, of course, part of Diabetes Action Month 2023. While our overall theme this year is the topic of Eyes on Diabetes, today we are actually focusing on what self-care could look like for those with diabetes. We'll be chatting about some techniques that are high-tech and some techniques that are low-tech that you can manage easily. And as always, we want you to be part of the conversation. So I have a computer right beside me. If you've got any questions at all during tonight's chat, please feel free to send them on through, and I will do my very best to pass those questions on to our topic experts this evening. We will be looking at technology that is available for Kiwis living with diabetes and how that technology can provide valuable information and improve blood glucose control. Now, a significant focus, of course, for Diabetes New Zealand is really driving those campaigns for improved access to diabetes technology and, of course, better health outcomes for people living with type 1, type 2 and gestational diabetes. That's right, we are here for all of you. Now, tonight to speak into these topics, we have three guest experts in the studio here with me. So here on the couch right next door to me, we have Courtney Giddens, who is here from one of our champion sponsors, NZMS. Lovely to have you here, and which is a Dexcom company as well. Excited to have you here tonight, Courtney.
Thank you, Monique. Thanks for having me.
Now, sitting here in the middle, the rose between the thorns, no, the thorn between the roses, who could go either way, is someone who is an advocate, of course, for self-care and well-being, and is here to share some tips and tools around exercise, nutrition, and mental resilience, which is, of course, a big topic. So we are delighted to welcome Stefan Crooks to our kōrero tonight, who is another one of our Diabetes New Zealand champion sponsors with his amazing company. I'm such a fangirl, Vibe Drinks. Great to have you here and sharing your story with us tonight. Kia ora. And also, I'm delighted to have a guest who's come all the way from Northland, from Te Tai Tokerau, Northland, Marion Parker, who is the Diabetes New Zealand Community Coordinator for the area, to share her work, her amazing mahi, and some effective ways to manage diabetes. Kia ora and welcome.
Kia ora.
Lovely to have you here. Now, tonight, as well, as I mentioned on the chat, we are really excited to have you here. This is live, so yes, I am with you right here. Lovely to see you. I can see people already sending hearts through. It's great to have you here. Send your questions through if anything resonates with you tonight. Remember too that we're here for you, we're here with you, and so is the amazing team at Diabetes New Zealand. So if you've got any questions around tonight's kaupapa, please send your questions through. And as always, if anything is triggering or getting your mind thinking, or you need some extra support tonight too, remember that Diabetes New Zealand has some amazing resources available. So you can actually head to their website, diabetes.org.nz, and you can see there's the free 0800 helpline on there. There is always someone at the end of the phone. So if you're feeling isolated, alone, you need help or support, or you've got somebody in your whānau that needs some help or support, make sure you get in touch. So tonight is all about how to maintain your well-being. We're talking about your circle of care, or if you're in the circle of care for somebody living with diabetes. And I know that technology has been a massive part of the conversation to maintain well-being. So Courtney, we're really delighted to have you here from NZMS. And you've been in this industry for more than 8 years. You've been an educator, of course, working with whānau across the South Island, I believe. You've come up from Christchurch to be here to help talk into this topic, and you're really passionate about educating and advocating. But I see here you've also studied biomedical science. So you have a real hands-on in the community approach, but you also come from that science background. So I'm going to ask you some pretty particular questions when it comes to technology. So first of all, tell us a little bit about the work you do and how NZMS supports people with diabetes, because I know that our followers really want to understand a little bit more about the work you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Monique, for having me. So I work for NZMS Diabetes, which is a Dexcom company. We're responsible for distributing the Dexcom continuous glucose monitor and the Tandem t:slim X2 insulin pump. So my role varies daily, so no 2 days are the same, and it's dependent on our our customers' needs and what they require from us. But I'm part of a wider team that go out and educate and train not only healthcare professionals but also our patients on how to use the technology.
Great, and it must be so rewarding to know that you're helping people maintain their wellness, and also especially when you're dealing with children, that must be hugely rewarding.
Absolutely.
Seeing that transformation for a family.
Yes, absolutely. I used to be a territory manager for the South Island, so I got to see firsthand the positive impact that using the technology has on not only the children themselves but their loved ones and their wider whānau. One thing we've also brought in last year was our Dexcom Warriors program. So this is a global movement that came in last year, and the idea of it is to bring people living with diabetes and their whānau together to, I guess, rally together to be the voice, to create a community where they can share advice and seek support from each other. We're holding a few social events coming up, so we do recommend, if there are any Dexcom customers listening, we highly recommend they join our Dexcom program.
I had a note here to say exactly the same thing, because I think it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
So on that topic of technology, how does NZME's technology help people with diabetes? Because especially for those who might be newly diagnosed or they've got family who are, this technological area is a completely new way of dealing with wellbeing.
It is. And I mean, we have leading edge technology, and a lot of our families say to us, this has, reduced the burden of diabetes and it's giving us peace of mind. So we see firsthand the benefits of it. I guess to give you an idea of how the technology works, we have the Dexcom continuous glucose monitor. So that's a small sensor and it just sits under the skin. It transmits data every 5 minutes to a compatible phone or a receiver, and it reads your glucose levels. Someone using Dexcom can be alerted if they're going high or low. There's also a predictive nature to those alerts as well, so they can find out 20 minutes ahead of a hypo event. So it's game changing. Yeah.
It is really amazing. Living with whānau with diabetes as well, who find that really hard to manage. That must be quite incredible. Is that's technology that you're both using as well? No.
Yeah, I have used it.
How have you found that, Marianne?
What it does, it teaches you to understand how food affects your body. So you can eat something and it will show the spike. And then when you put your insulin in, it will show your body reacting to that as well. So it's really getting to know how your body works with the Dexcom. Well, that's what I've just used recently. So that's why I would push it on, to actually see how your body works and the different foods that change your body, the blood glucose in yours.
And from that data, can you correlate from the data with changes in your energy or your mood? Can you see that connection? Yeah,
definitely. With me, especially when I had the Dexcom 6 and now 7, Before that, I would have to pretty much wait for my body to show me the signs of I'm getting tired. Blood sugars are low, or high. It's either way. But with the CGMs, it's actually showing you up to the minute on how to do what your body's doing.
That's just incredible technology, isn't it?
It is.
Now, I know one of the other products that you mentioned the tandem insulin pump, and this for a lot of people living with diabetes is really new technology, so they may be familiar with the Dexcom, but this is just a game changer as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I mean, if you've ever seen a tandem insulin pump, it's the footprint of a credit card, so very, very small, not a backpack that some people think you have to wear when you do have diabetes. So the insulin pump is what people will use instead of doing multiple daily injections. So in working in conjunction with the healthcare team, they'll put in their customisable rates and numbers into this pump, and what they'll then do is say, okay, I'm having this for lunch or this for dinner, calculate the carbs, put in what their blood glucose is, and the pump does the maths and will administer the insulin. So
that's absolutely genius.
It's a pretty impressive technology.
Wow. So for somebody, my understanding is that somebody living with diabetes, and of course you can both talk into this topic a little bit more, you have to make more decisions than anybody who is not living with diabetes. You make more decisions every day, which of course can create a huge amount of stress and pressure. So what sort of impact does that technology, what sort of does it relieve that stress and that burden that people living with diabetes have to deal with?
I mean, there are lots of clinical studies that show the positive clinical outcomes of using CGM and insulin pumps. I guess what I really love about my job and what I'm really fortunate is to hear firsthand the patient stories and the positive, the mental health and wellbeing impact that it has on them. I remember it was just coming out of COVID, and I trained a family who had a wee boy who was a type 1 diabetic. And the mum rang me excitedly the next day, and she said it was the first time, and I can't remember how long, my son's come home from school, and the first question I said to him was, "How was your day?" Not "What's your glucose levels?"
Oh, wow.
The peace of mind factor is huge. The feedback, the feedback from being able to go to bed at night and rest for a while rather than stress.
And of course, Stefan, I understand you live with type 2 diabetes, or have had previously type 2 diabetes, and you made huge life changes consciously to be well. And now you're this ambassador and you're an advocate for living well with diabetes as well. So when you were in that stage as well, just as a contrast, what was it like managing the type 2 diabetes? So we just have some data as a contrast.
Really, if I was brave enough now to actually seek a little bit more advice, I probably would have been able to affect change even faster.
Wow.
As opposed to not knowing what was available. If I knew it was available, I think the changes would have accelerated in me. And I know that for a lot of people, that if they just don't take that step forward to go and seek that little bit of help, so that you've got that peace of mind as a parent or as a caregiver or as yourself as the sufferer, we can make those little changes real fast. So, it blows my mind that technology could have, accelerated or even saved a life.
Yeah. Now, with you, Marianne, and working with Te Hau Ora or Ngāpuhi as well, and the community there, have you seen technology integrating into that community yet? Is that what you're seeing? And have you seen changes in how diabetes is being treated in the area?
The technology isn't there yet.
Okay.
So what we're more pushing is towards leading a healthier lifestyle.
Excellent.
So more pushing with the veggies, and even you don't have to go to the gym. Go out and you can put a garden outside and work in your garden. That's simple little tweaks to the diet first. That's all.
I love that. And it's a bit more sustainable for a lot of people too, right? Yeah. Brilliant. And thank you, everybody. Oh, so good to see so many wonderful comments coming through. Amazing. Thanks, everybody, for your comments. It's wonderful to have you on the feed. And we're going to jump into some of those. So one of the questions that I have is, how can those in support of the campaign, which is #CGM for all, show this and help make a change? Because I can see in the comments feed that people are obviously asking for change around this. What can people do, Courtney?
Well, I think it comes down personally to education and awareness. As I've said a couple of times, I'm very fortunate in the role that I have, that I am able to have that customer contact. So I would say, ask questions, read the stories, and just listen as well to find out how maybe you can support people living with diabetes and advocate on behalf of them as well. So
I love that. Yeah. So obviously not everybody is in a position, like we heard, the technology isn't in Northland yet, but obviously Diabetes New Zealand are doing everything they can in that advocacy space for people living with diabetes, which I think is fantastic. Cool. But let's talk about real stories and managing wellness on a low-tech basis. So Stefan, your journey is really interesting as well. In my notes here, you were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You knew that you had to do something for yourself. you switched up your life, you got fit, you lost a significant amount of weight, which we were chatting about. Your story is quite similar to mine, pre-show as well. You looked at things like ensuring the right food gets to New Zealand kids. I think this is super important. So by creating healthier tuck shop programs within the school and the Healthy School Lunch program, and you are super passionate about sport. What's inspired this whole journey? Is this your own transformation and wanting wellness for others?
It's kind of funny, like I've got to go backwards to go forward. So I've dealt with diabetes and type 2 diabetes for 30 years with parents. So in stressed environments where you're watching and managing the highs and lows, the technology that's around now that could have saved a number of, dare I say it, lives. So when you bury your parents and understand that you are suffering in your own journey, knowing that we're all intelligent, that we're all smart, that for every dollar I could get for you should go to the gym or you should change your diet, not understanding your why, and not understanding, what that mental side of this game really is. And so after burying mum and dad and then being reasonably successful in business, I realised I was on a journey towards the grave just like my parents were. And I got diagnosed in 2015. After being tested, and as that slippery slope goes up, not down, on an HbA1c where it went from 45 to 95, that was it. Went home, angry, emotional, distraught, and said, I'm not going to be that man anymore. And just made a really simple change, which was I actually had to promise me I had to make the change, not the promise to make the change for the family.
Wow.
And the amazing thing today is I've got children and a wife that get a different husband every week ever since.
That's just incredible, incredible. And I do want to say to anybody who's watching tonight, if that story just resonated with you, or if you are feeling a little uncomfortable or isolated, or you know that you need to do something to make changes for your own well-being, for not just your family but for yourself, there's details there on the screen. Please reach out to Diabetes New Zealand. They have incredible resources available, and there's always somebody at the end of the phone, and they're happy to sit and talk you through this process. You are not alone in this journey. So Stefan, coming back to you, that must have been an incredible change.
Yeah, really difficult. That's when I started to understand about anxiety, depression, and that how we would use our lifestyle to hide it or to compensate, and what amazed me about the discovery of diabetes is the stigma and how you're put into a particular, you're a toffee pop, Coca-Cola eating junkie, and I wasn't. Mine stemmed out of a different diet stream, which was more genetic based, and we didn't know that. So when you go into the fight and start to unravel the things that we hear about, the technology teaching the type 1s, which I think is amazing, around the GI index, what fuels us, when we should eat, what we should eat. That education's all there. We just choose to either go wholesale one way, the wrong way, as opposed to making those really small incremental changes, which is not just ignoring the science or the holistic approach or that family approach. It's you've got to bring the whole lot together. It's not going to the gym. It's not a diet. It's not an insulin pump. It's all of it.
It's a way of living.
It's a way of living, yeah.
I love that. I think that's absolutely amazing. So just for anybody who might be watching, and you've made lots of lifestyle changes, and we're going to talk about this as well, Marianne, from your perspective too. What sort of changes did you make?
The first one was to actually give myself some time. The biggest one is that I was giving all my time to work, success, building sports clubs, and basically was exhausting and suppressing and hiding the real issue, which was I wasn't taking care of myself. So I decided I needed to give myself time. So I created a Steph unit, which is I had to turn the phone off and I just had to go for a walk. And it just accelerated. Dare I say it? It's a bit of a Forrest Gump scenario. You just start walking and you just don't stop. Literally.
Wow, and that's been the real catalyst of change for you.
Yeah, that movement factor, being able to declutter, just being able to breathe, so that when you actually do start to find those real little nuggets of help, that they actually start to gain momentum. So they layer up. It's you layer a cake and eat it as a treat. Don't allow the cake to be the norm. As something really simple,
Great
right?
point.
Treat yourself to a slice. Don't eat the whole cake.
Yeah.
There's a lot in the food industry. There's a lot the way we market things. There's a lot we're coerced into that you can actually just say no to.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. Now, one of the things you highlighted in was the fact that perhaps your lifestyle was hiding some of the deeper level challenges, which I think that we can all probably speak into, which it might be the anxiety or the depression factor of just being a human, having a human existence. And I think especially when you're somebody living with diabetes, there's a big topic that we've talked about in the last couple of years of these months of awareness, which is this topic of diabetes distress. And is this something you experienced? Because I know many of the people on our feeds have talked about this previously. And if you are watching and you've experienced this, again,
Yep.
You're not alone. Reach out for help. We're here for you. Please feel free to share your comments. Stefan, I'll just throw that your way very quickly.
Yeah, I suppose the emotional side of denial, of I coulda, woulda, shoulda, as opposed to just going, hey, it's okay. Now, where do I go to find help? It's okay. I'm now on 3 doses of metformin a day. It's okay that I'm going to learn how to transition this. It's okay to be in the fight. But it's not okay to allow everyone to point their finger at you saying, oh, you did it because of this or you did it because of that. That's that trauma that I think we've got to take that stigma away.
Yeah.
Diabetes isn't 100% sugar related. We're a nation that grew up on milk, dairy, and dare I say it, meat and 3 veg, which was predominantly potatoes. And potatoes, complex carbohydrate,
Yes.
turns to simple, lactose, fructose, they all layer up in our system and we don't even know it. Mary Ann was saying, when we were talking about spikes and things, you eat a food that will spike you 1 minute and then you'll be sitting there dry, moody, arrogant.
And I've just had a question come through, and it's a great question. Are there any foods or diet resources that we can use to support family with diabetes? And that is from Nishi. Nishi, thank you so much for that question. Actually, I'm going to throw that to you, Mary Ann, because I know this is part of your work as well. What sort of resources, what sort of dietary tips would you recommend?
Yeah, so with your plate, you've got the potatoes. Swap it out for kumara or piripiru.
Or pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lower
GI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's just
interesting.
tweaking what you normally have on the plate and just taking the carbs a bit lower. Piripiru is really good to sustain, the same kind of need for that mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
But it's less carbohydrate.
So good. And I was just about to jump in and start having a kōrero with you anyway. I want to know more about what you do, Marianne. So you're a diabetes community coordinator for Hauora Kaimahi for Te Tai Tokerau, which is of course that Northland area. Yep. And you split your time between your work with Diabetes New Zealand and an iwi run community health organisation called Te Hauora o Ngā Puhi, yep. which is great. And I love your dress, which is an honour to, or an acknowledgement of that work. And you work as a bridge between the clinical staff and the patients, so almost like a translator, I guess, helping into part of the conversation tonight is normalising this conversation. So I see that as part of your role. You're passionate about helping your community, but you also have your own diabetes story. Tell us about your experience.
Yeah, sure. First I'll start with ko Marianne Parker, taku ingoa, ko Mangu Kawakawa, te maunga, ko Waitangi te awa, ko Omapere, te roto, ko Parawhenua, te marae, ko Ngāpuhi, te iwi.
Kia ora.
Learning to know your body is knowing yourself. So that's why I had to do my PPH first before I started speaking.
I love that.
So sorry, now I've forgotten the question.
It's all good. Tell us about your diabetes journey.
Yeah, so mine was a bit dramatic. I woke up one day and my leg wasn't working. It was kind of just hanging from my hip. I rang my GP and he said go straight to the emergency department. I got there and they said any other symptoms, and I said, well, I feel drunk all the time. And so they put me into the ward, and they took my blood, took a lot of blood, and tested me for a whole lot of things. They came back to me and they said, well, you have type 2 diabetes, you haven't looked after yourself, and you have drinking problems. So I was a mother of 3 then, and I had to take a good look at myself, like I'd done this to myself. And so I sat in the ward, and then the diabetes nurse came around, and they said he said to me, your HbA1c is 175. And they're saying that you're type 2, and I said, yeah. So he took some more blood, and he said, I'm going to do another test. Then the doctor from the ward came in and discharged me, gave me metformin, and I went back to work. 24 hours later, the diabetes nurse called me up and told me to come back in because I've been misdiagnosed. And I was type 1, and what he said to me on the phone was, you're type 1, but even if you were type 2, it's not your fault.
Wow. How was that moment for you?
I still didn't understand. I was like, I don't even know what diabetes is, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And so I went back in and I got put on the insulin, you know, told how to check my blood sugars, and they taught me how to do the insulin and everything like that. And I mean, I was still down on myself because I still, in me, thought I've got 3 children and I've let them down. And so it's been a struggle all the way through, but and like I've probably spent half my diabetes life in denial.
Wow.
But then I got pregnant again at 39 and got it back under control to have a pretty much great birth. And then I got pregnant again 2 years later. I like to be pregnant. Blessings.
Wow.
And same thing. got back under control. I think I got down to 60 that time. But, you know, it's a hard road. And when I heard this job come up, that was when I thought to myself, I do not want to see another person sitting in their bed blaming themselves because they've got diabetes.
Wow.
And I, if that's the one message I can send out, is don't blame yourself, just switch up, change up.
Nice.
That is incredible. That is incredible. And I think that's really why we have these lives as well, is we want you to know if you are living with diabetes or you've got whānau with diabetes, we're all in this together. I love that message of switch up, reach out for help, have open discussions, be present with how you feel, and ensure that you've got a really good circle of care around you, which is, again, that's what these conversations are about tonight. Marianne, that's just incredible. So as part of your journey, how do you, so we have people on social who are asking questions about wellness. What do you do to maintain your own wellness?
I think it's an education for the whole whānau. We need to sit down and have a good discussion. And my older children, who are 18, 20 and 22, when I start getting a bit absent-minded, my daughter will hit me up like, your diabetes all right, you know? And so they see the signs, and it's about educating the whole whānau. And even your workplace, I've been in several workplaces where I've had to inject myself, and I've always created awareness that I will be injecting myself, and it's insulin. And because first of all, like, not everyone likes needles. So it's just making everyone comfortable, because I'm comfortable with myself. And so it's creating that everyone around you are comfortable. And just educating them on. I'm lucky now where I work in a health space, so they are a lovely crew at Te Hauora o Ngāpui, and in the clinic space. So I've got to give props to them, because great workmates and a great support network. So it's, but some people don't get that in some workplaces. So don't be shy to let everyone know. And if you're working in an office, the person sitting next to you, just give them a bit of education, you know, and just say, like, sometimes I may need a Coke. And then sometimes I may need to take my insulin. But it's just creating that awareness, so you're never shy to check yourself.
I love that. And I think for anybody watching in the social media feed as well, I'm just going to grab some questions very shortly. But if you are in social media and you are living with diabetes, type 1, type 2, gestational, I'd love to know what initiatives you're taking to educate those around you to understand this extraordinary experience that you have. How are you using this as an opportunity to educate others, but also to empower yourself? Because as we've heard tonight, this is about being comfortable in your own skin, because it's your journey. A question coming through. Jonathan says, thanks for all the info, guys. Stefan's story resonates with me. And again, in social media, I would love to know if any of these stories are resonating with you as well. Another question. David and Kat said, had a Dexcom G6 and tandem insulin pump since May, and it's been a game changer. I love that. And also Shane says, love your story, Marianne. I love that. I really do. So many great comments coming through. Thank you all. And again, please send through any feedback or comments you might have around how you maintain your wellness. Please share. Sharing is caring. How you maintain your well-being, how you educate others, because that's what it's about too as well. Now, I want to jump back to you here on the end of the couch, because we're talking about technology as part of the solution here tonight. So Courtney, I've still got a couple of questions for you. obviously education has been a huge thing for you in your journey, and especially when you're dealing, say, with parents who have got young children who are newly diagnosed. What are some great ways to be able to educate the parents and the families about maintaining wellness with children? I know it's not on my script, but I'm hearing this. Education is empowerment, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you're sharing in the community work that you do?
I think with what our diabetes team does is we work quite closely with our healthcare professionals, as well as people living with diabetes. A lot of the training we do isn't just here's a Dexcom, slap it on and you're on your way. Same with an insulin pump. They're quite an in-depth training session. Some take up to 2 days to actually fully educate.
Wow.
Within that, we suggest that people immerse themselves into other diabetes communities. So we'd say, join DNZ and read the stories and find out more information about it, but also connect with your healthcare professional team. You've got your dietitian, your psychologist, your diabetes nurse specialist, and I think, Marianne, you touched on it. It's that empowerment. Be empowered to ask the questions. It's your own health, and I think that's something that we are really passionate about as well and committed to, is helping our patients get the best outcomes.
And while we're talking into technology, what are there other technologies that can assist those living with diabetes to manage their wellbeing?
With NZMS Diabetes, they do invest heavily in research and development. So as you're aware, we've got the G7, Dexcom G7, which Marianne has tried, and the Tandem T-Slim X2 insulin pump. And obviously Stefan and they have touched on all the other resources that are available to you that are more the lifestyle changes.
Yes.
So we'd just say keep an eye out for some of the latest news that may be coming regarding developments.
That's what we love to hear, and I do want to say a big shout out for the My Diabetes Journey app, which is a free downloadable app that you can download through Google Play or the App Store. I have this as well. It is absolutely amazing. It's a great way for you to be able to keep on top of signs and symptoms. You can use it as your friend in your pocket. It's part of your circle of care as well. And it's a way for you to be able to make notes on your well-being and to be really present with how you feel. And I think that's really one of the things that I'm taking away from tonight's chat too. Amazing technology there, free to you, thanks to Diabetes New Zealand. Another question that's come through, it feels good to hear that it is not our fault. I absolutely agree if we have diabetes. Yep. Thank you. This is clearly a really strong message that's coming through. I absolutely agree. One of the things that's been highlighted that you've actually brought up tonight, Stefan, is around that stigma coming from a family and a family history also of type 2 diabetes as well. There's a huge amount of stigma and also miseducation where some of our whānau might go, I can eat this because I can just rely on my meds as well. Stigma is a really big thing we need to change. A monster change. Tell us about your experience or what you've seen. Have there been changes happening? Because you're out there in the community a lot. You're talking to a lot of people. There is change.
I would say there's an element of it being slightly more acceptable. So, what Marianne's saying in terms of, as the whānau understands, as you educate from the inside out, that starts to permeate. So it's not about hiding what we have. It's about telling people how they can help manage us, so they can be part of our journey as well. It's not, we don't operate in isolation because they don't know what their journey is either. They could be suffering something else and having a mental journey that they haven't discovered. It could be a heart issue or it could be cancer.
Oh, I have a question here. Joe Chapman, what would you share? This is great, thank you. Thank you as well. What would you share with someone newly diagnosed who feels shame or they don't want to talk about it, to help in total or support and overcome this? So we were just talking into this topic. So what you were starting to highlight, being able to have open conversations as an example.
Well, like I said, when I got diagnosed, the first thing I did is I sat the family down and just said, this is not your fault. And what I need help with is just being there. We don't need wholesale change. I've got to fix that. But I need your support in this. And it was weird because the first thing they wanted to do was they went off on their own education journey.
Oh, wow.
They went and bought books and they went to websites. They wanted to understand, oh, crikey, what can we do to help Dad? And you know, my wife, she will hate me for saying it. She doesn't like cooking. But then all of a sudden, what was amazing was all of a sudden the potatoes disappeared and become pumpkin and kumara.
Yeah.
Just those little minor changes within the diet. So rather than it being wholesale again, it's just sitting and making sure that you have a really honest conversation, because the one that hurts us the most is that denial one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That shame.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to go home and say we're diabetics. We don't want to go home and say, you know, we're going to suffer other issues. And just have that real open conversation that says, hey, if we can actually bolt ourselves together, then we can row this waka together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. And in the work you're doing in the community, Marianne, is that the same sort of messaging that you're sharing into the communities around the topic of diabetes?
Yeah, I think it's removing all the negative stuff about it first, and it would be, working with our whānau is, like, I like to work with the whole whānau.
Yeah.
So if anyone has a question, just ask it. If I'm not giving the right answer, we have doctors and nurses that can also help with those questions. I'm more of a in-betweener, so it's sometimes, like, I'm not a medical expert, but I've been through enough to kind of get the gist of what they're talking about.
I understand.
But yeah, that plain English isn't always in the discussions when you're with your clinical staff.
Yeah.
Now, I've just got a great comment coming from Mandy, who says, I'm part of a local coffee group of what I describe as mature ladies. Shout out to our mature ladies, I love you. And there are 3 of us who live with diabetes. So we often talk about eating healthy and the importance of moving, being exercise, dance, walking, gardening, whatever you like. Yep. So some of these ideas that have come through tonight as well. And that every diabetic and their journey is different. I totally agree. We may have the same or similar diagnosis, but how we approach our management can vary greatly, and that's what we're really even hearing from the 3 of you tonight. So we're coming from that more technology-based way of dealing with it, through to the diet and lifestyle, and through community and education and whānau. There's lots of different ways of approaching that. So Mandy, thank you so much for your comment. Again, we love having your comments coming through, so keep them coming. So I know that there are people watching tonight, and you may have, if I haven't addressed your comments, I do apologise. The team from Diabetes New Zealand hopefully will be able to, after the live stream, talk into those questions that you might have. But as always, remember, if you need some help or support, head to diabetes.org.nz. There's a wealth of resources there. There's always somebody at the end of the phone. So if you're not feeling quite right, if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, they are your go-to people. And remember, you've got your circle of care, whether it's your whānau, your friends, or your medical practitioners around you, who are all there with you. If you've got friends or whānau who are living with diabetes as well, remember, you're part of their circle of care. You're all in it together, and it's super important to be present. And let's normalise this condition that so many of us live with. So I want to jump back into the studio space here as well. Living well. That's what you're all here to talk about tonight. If you had your 3 top tips to share with people tonight, and I'm giving you I'm telegraphing it so you can be prepared. What would those top tips be? And I know, Courtney, we'll start with you on this one. Because obviously technology.
Yeah. I was going to say utilising the technology, definitely for one. Advocating for yourself, might be stealing some of the others.
Amazing.
And I guess part of what we do as well is increasing awareness. So, you know, we support the CGM for All campaign as well. So I guess the advocacy and awareness is probably one of my top 3 as well.
I love it. What about you, Stefan?
3 top. Don't forget to invest in yourself. Okay, investment in yourself, time, diet, exercise, all the others. Share your experience. Share your experience. Don't bottle it up.
Yep.
And for whatever you do, wake up every day with intent. Stay in the fight.
Oh, such good words. Such good words, Marianne.
Well, you just took it out.
We're coupling up together.
No, I think first, know yourself, know your body. Second, trust yourself. It probably runs into the same thing. And find your circle.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Now, jumping back on social, I'm just going to have a quick chat. Joe Chapman said, awesome kōrero, ngā mihi nui to you all. Kia ora, Joe, lovely to have you there with us. Lena has just said, first of all, hi boss, Stefan.
Hey Lena, how are you?
A great question here. How do you get people close to you to understand that dealing with diabetes is so much more than an easy, oh, you need to change your diet, that it's also a mental challenge too? Because I feel like some people just don't understand. Stefan, let's talk into that.
Yeah, the mental challenge is massive, but how do you get those close to you to communicate? It's having that first conversation, saying it's okay. It's okay for you to tell me what the issue is, because I need to work out how to help. You know, what's my role? You know, what's my role in your journey? Because it is really difficult because of those things we talked about, that stigma and everything else, and being able to share stories or research stories that have shown things go the other way, that you can change this.
I love that. Miriam, from your perspective as well of working in the community, what would be your response to that topic?
I think once you invest in yourself, the negative comments are still going to be there no matter what. I mean, I can go into the New World and get a diabetes magazine of recipes, and I still get people commenting, oh, all you have to do is stop drinking Coke.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, cool story. I'm moving on with my life, you know, like it's just be strong in yourself, trust yourself.
Yeah.
And I can't say that enough. It's just know your worth and follow what you know. You know, you don't have to, like, there's going to be the positive comments and you listen to that, sure, but you listen to what you're saying in your head about yourself.
I love that as well. Liz Dutton just said, great to hear the awesome advice being given on the couch tonight from all of you. That's great. I had another question come in actually from Vicky Lee, who says, Stefan, how did you start on your fitness journey? That's a great question actually.
How did I start? Weirdly, if I go back 30 years, I was a high-performing athlete that went the wrong way. So I had the ability to run, jump, and pass balls and do all that amazing stuff until I shrouded myself in an additional 60, 70 kilos over that lifestyle change. First step is the first step. It sounds incredibly lame, but just take that first walk. Just take that first walk. It doesn't matter if it's 10 or 15. I actually did a 7K walk through the hills of Titirangi, come home beetroot red, puffing and panting like I was, and sat down and went, shit, I've done it.
Wow.
And then it just carried on from there. And then you start setting these weird goals like running a marathon or I'm going to lift heavy weights or whatever it is. You just have these little incremental goals.
I love that. Such a great question as well. And I know there's a lot of people who have been asking questions tonight about technology. There will be, as Courtney mentioned, keep an eye out for information that's coming up about that too. I just wanted to address that too. Thank you all so much for your questions around that. And remember, there is that hashtag CGM for All campaign. Diabetes New Zealand are here in the advocacy space for you as well. So remember to keep connected with Diabetes New Zealand, because they're doing everything they can to help make these changes and get you that support that you really, really need. Now, I am aware that our 30-minute chat has become 49 minutes. And you know what? I know this is such a great topic and we have so many people online. We could go on for probably at least another hour. So if you have enjoyed this chat tonight, please let us know. If you want to be part of more chats like this, please let us know as well. Should we be doing more chats like this more regularly? Because you deserve to have a voice. That's my kaupapa for tonight. And it's lovely to be here with all of you. Courtney, thank you for the incredible work that you are doing. You and that company are doing, NZMS, are doing for people living with diabetes. It matters. So thank you. I'm grateful for the work that you do. Stefan, thank you for being such an incredible role model and for leading this charge of healthier options for our rangatahi as well, and to really educate them, but also to be such an open ambassador for keeping the fight going, because you're worth it. And Marianne, thank you. You come with a different kaupapa and from a different perspective with your type 1 journey. And I think it's so important for that story to be told as well. So thank you so much for joining us and for that incredible work that you're doing in Te Tai Tokerau.
Okay.
And thank you to everybody watching tonight. Remember, you are all part of the conversation. I can see you over there. You're all part of the conversation too, and it's wonderful to have you with us. And whether you have type 1, type 2, or another form of diabetes, remember tonight's topics that have come through are that your life choices matter. Managing your condition matters, whether you are relying on technology or you are not relying on technology. All of these choices that you make every day matter because you matter. That's the most important thing. For me, I take away tonight, it's about removing the stigma. You are a person living with diabetes, and it is really important for all of us to educate everyone around us, not just our circle of care, but the wider community about this important conversation. Remembering to, if you're smoking, quit smoking. You're too cool to be smoking. Just saying, eat well, look after your energy, protect your well-being. It is inevitable that we will have ups and downs, highs and lows, anybody living with diabetes during their diabetes journey. But it's really important, as we've taken away, you are not alone. There are people here around you, and also through Diabetes New Zealand, through diabetes.org.nz, or on the end of the phone, who are here to support you through these challenges and these changes. And there are amazing resources on the website that if you need help, support, if you're feeling overwhelmed or down, reach out to the team there, because they are there for you. This is what they're here to do. As we've heard, there are some really simple approaches tonight to managing your well-being, from taking that first step to making small changes in your diet, to, if you are in that position, to be able to take advantage of that technology. And remember too, you've got the My Diabetes app, which is your friend in your pocket to help support yourself and your own well-being, because what we've heard tonight is that this journey is one of empowerment, of making the best choices for you on your terms. It's your journey. Learning about the skills and resources available is really important, and you can head to diabetes.org.nz. That's where they all are. And you can even look at things like tools for diabetes distress, which we've highlighted tonight, and some of the things that are available, like the Take Control Toolkit. I have so enjoyed you being here with us tonight, and I really appreciate all of your comments in the feed. If we didn't address your comments tonight, I do apologise. Again, the Diabetes New Zealand team will be in there to answer those questions for you if we haven't touched on them tonight. But one final thank you to our wonderful team sitting here on the couch, to Courtney, Stefan and Marianne. Thank you for this incredible work you're doing. We appreciate all of you. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
And thank you to you for being part of the chat. You are seen, you are heard. Thank you for being part of our world, and we are honoured and grateful to be part of yours as well. Engari, tēnā koutou, kia ora koutou, katoa. We'll see you again.